Business and society, I mean, before we start, I think I have to explain some of the things about why we study this one, and what are the goal of studying this topic, this subject, and what kind of expectation that I have from you guys. So I will explain that first, and then you go on to like lots of slide here. Like almost like 20 years ago, when I was the undergraduate student studying like management business, I think I can pretty sure that I didn't study anything like the topic like this one, business and society. So what I have learned at the time was like a lot of skills, function, and specific knowledge that managers are asked to learn. So like business and management is actually about nurturing students to be a very good managers in the future, right? So I know that you guys here, after finishing your second year program here, will be divided into like political science track and business econ track, right? If you choose to be the business econ track, I think you will study more, take more business courses. So in that business course, as I told you already, it is about like what kind of skills, right, you have to have if you wish to be a good manager in the future, right? So if you work for a company, you should at least know this or that kind of functional skills and professional skills, like accounting, for instance, marketing, operation, information system. So those are specific topics that are mostly business course taking students must learn. So when I was undergraduate students, those are the subjects I have to take throughout 4-year program. We don't need to take this kind of topic at that time, right? You don't need to worry about, about like what the manager should do for the society, what should be the right behavior of the manager, and so on, right? All of the job of the manager is like simply making a lot of money, increasing the market share, right? Satisfy the shareholders, right? Satisfy customers. That's the job of the manager. Even like 10 years ago, you don't need to go far of the time when I was undergraduate students. Even like 10 years ago, yeah, that's what you need to be learning from the business courses. So if you have any like administration problem, registration, or your like problem as a student, please visit the office at 5th floor, right? That's our DIS office. So you can have the some service from that room. However, this day, the job of the manager is not simply like making money, increasing market share, being a professional at planning something, leading people, maximizing, say, revenue or something like that. Manager today are asked to do more than that, right? What is the thing that they have to do more this day? That's what you are going to learn here. So business and society, before we are actually taking specific subject in business, I think a lot of business scholars admit that students first understand and know what's the relationship between business, company, and society, because those relationships getting more complicated, intertwined, and so on, right? So making, as I told you several times, maximizing profit, increasing market share is not enough. You have to do something for the society. Yeah, somebody here may not accept that idea. So the managers are not really a philanthropist. Why then the manager should do the job for the society, not for the customers and shareholders? But anyway, that's the trend nowadays. You have to satisfy the customers, but also do something for the whole society. So that's why the job of the manager this day become much wider in terms of scope and scale. So we are going to learn about that one. I mean, this is just a summary of our chapter 1, which is very fine summary of the not only the chapter 1 but the whole courses. It simply describes why we have to study business society, what are the goal of this course, what kind of a thing that the instructor and the lecturer expect from you guys, and what the thing you have to learn from these things. Like what is the business? What is the characteristic of the business? What is society, and what are the relationship? Why the understanding the relationship between business and society is quite important, urgent, right? So that is the first thing before you are actually taking business courses. But before you actually drive how to drive a car, you first learn what kind of condition out there. So the point is that before you actually learn how to drive, the idea is this: before you actually learn how to drive, you have to look at how the what is the road and what is the pavements, how the street look like, and so on. Right? You have to look at the environment first, and then you learn how to drive. So that's the ideas of the business educator these days. So that's why how this kind of courses are designed. I mean, if you take like MBA, for instance, if you take like higher degree, master degree in business, I think probably you may wish to learn a lot of like how to make money, for instance, right? How to satisfy your customers. But I can pretty sure that a lot of master degree program this day try to emphasize how to be a very ethical and good manager, because we witness this day a lot of managers are doing wrong things. Because of their wrong behavior, it damages whole society, sometimes whole country and whole economy. So that's why before a good manager this day not only means that a very skillful manager in many business functions, but also you have to be the manager should be very good ethical manager, responsible managers, right? So that's why before you take a lot of specific courses, you have to look at like general environment first, and then you take whatever you want in business course. So having said that, let's look at why then we need to look at the relationship between business and society and business. Why we have to look at those relationships, how those two entities actually relate to each other. Why we have to look at that one first. I think the textbook describes three major things that explain the need to understand the relationship between business and society. The first one is like business scandal. I mean, especially like after year 2000. I don't know how old you were at the time. 3, 4, 8. Pretty much mature, right? You guys know what's going on, right? At that age. But I can pretty sure that business world confronted a kind of a radical change before year 2000 and after 2000. Why that year 2000 is so important. If you learn the history of business and management, you can see why. Because after year 2000, you guys see a lot of, as you see here, first line, you see a lot of a business scandal. What is scandal? Can you see the red dot here? Sorry for this one, right? Somebody will fix up. Not my fault. Right? So business scandal, especially very prevalent business scandals you guys witnessed after year 2000. Starting 2001, Enron scandal. What is Enron? Do you guys know this company? Oil company, right? In USA. they made a huge scandal. It was more than just scandal. It kind of a crime, a systematic crime by many people. So Enron was like, simply say, like oil company, right? The characteristic of the oil company is that oil company is like producing oil and refining it and provide the oil to the consumers like us, right? So oil business is like requiring huge investment all the times, at least like 5 to 10 billion US dollar minimum investment size for each, say, oil well, for instance, like pumping up the oil and refining things and so on. For doing that, you guys need kind of a huge facility and so on, lots of R&D and so on. So minimum investment for that job is about 5 to 10 billion dollars, like 5조 10조, right? So that means a lot of investment always required for this kind of a big business, which means that without generating a huge profit, the company cannot invest that money. If the company fails to invest that size of investment, they simply lose the market share by competitors like, who are the competitor of the Enron? Exxon, I don't know, a lot of oil company, right? What? Shell, maybe. Shell, maybe. Another competitor, right? So the crime of the Enron was that they simply exaggerate their profit. They didn't really make the money, right? But the thing is that like global company like this means that a lot of shareholders, which means a lot of owners, 1,000 million owners. Owners means that somebody who owns the stock of this company. So the obligation of this company is that they have to tell the truth about their profit and loss. If they made money, then they have to tell the truth to the shareholders. If they have lost their business, they have to tell the truth by having like general meetings. A lot of shareholders collect together and the company talk about their business in the past, their performance, and they have to talk about their plan. So the point of Enron was that year 2001, they made a huge loss for their business, but they lie to the shareholders, investors, right? The inside people of Enron, CEO, a lot of assistant to the CEO regarding this kind of scandal, like accountant, top management planning team, and also even some of the external like advisor of the company, all together lie and make a fraud statement about their financial statement, exaggerate their profit. They really didn't make the money, but they say we made a huge money. So shareholders can put your money to our companies for more investments. So there was Enron scandal, which was happened year 2001. Is this right or wrong? Wrong, right? Let me tell you two major crime in the companies. Someday in the future, probably lots of you guys here may be working for the companies. Two things you must not do. What is the first one? Lie. You should not lie. To whom? Shareholders, customers, right? You always tell the truth, right? What is the second thing you should not do all the times? What? Bribe. Right? Bribe, right? But yeah, you go to jail if you receive the bribe, right? What else? More important, bribe is you shouldn't take any like under table money. Right? So of course, what else? What? Steal, of course. You should not steal, right? Steal. You should not use company's property without any permission. Especially you should not use company money, right? That's a crime. You go to jail for sure, right? So two things, right? First, you should not lie to shareholders, customers, anybody who may be interested in that company business. And second thing, you should not use company money. The third thing, be on time all the time, right? No late. Be punctual. So anyway, after this Enron scandal, a lot of other global giants producing a kind of a scandals, like a service company like Accenture at the time, Arthur Andersen, like management consulting companies, also exaggerate their, mostly the company lie about their profit and loss, because those are very sensitive to the shareholders and to the market, right? And WorldCom, IT company in USA, Tyco, Adelphia. A lot of global companies keep doing the wrong things, damaging a lot of shareholders' interest. Because of the company's wrongdoing, a lot of society and country even severely suffered by, like simply lying about your statement simply means that you violating kind of you're destroying trust with the shareholders, customers, your partner, business partner, and so on. Simply, if you lose that trust, your business cannot be sustainable. Right? What are the recent examples? Probably it happened last year. How many of you here? Yeah. Volkswagen. What kind of scandal? The emission things, pollution, gas emission things. How they lie? Right. They produce a lot of more like gas emission, right? But they did what? What? They say that their car is environmental friendly car, not really producing lots of like gas emission, but in fact the car wasn't, right? So that is actually a scandal. The car lie to say customers. So the common things about what I see from this Enron case, Tyco case, the Volkswagen case, what are the implications to our society? Who actually damaged by this company's wrongdoing? Us, right? In what way? What? Our health, right? And what else?
Our profit.
What?
Our profit.
Your profit. If you are an investor, I mean, if this kind of a company's wrongdoing revealed, then normally what happens is that the stock price of the company just drop, right? If say the Enron stock price would be say 100, and if the company simply lose their confidence in the market, then the stock price go down like $1. Simply means that your money here as 100 turn into $1. Simply you lose all of your money. So a lot of shareholders also lost their money because of, not by your fault, but by the top management of the company's wrongdoing. So that's why we have to study business and society. Before we actually punish this top management, CEO, whoever the top management is, we have to monitor them, whether they are really doing the right things. Also, the educators, like university or whatever, like education institution, should educate them in quite good, teach them like good ethical behavior, so preventing them not to do from doing that kind of a wrongdoing, right? So that's the starting point. Starting Enron crisis, a lot of global company make a kind of very similar unethical behavior which damaged shareholders, society, whole country, and so on. which damage all of us. Like year 2008, for instance, what happened? Like global crisis, Lehman Brothers crisis. What was that? Can you explain the Lehman Brothers financial crisis at the time? Because of the company's wrong strategic behavior, investment, all of the world collapsed. Right? I collapsed. My bank account at the time turned out to be like empty because of that company. Right? So I personally hate that kind of a Lehman Brothers wrong behavior. Who knows? That may be happening again, and your bank account will also turn into empty, right? So Lehman Brothers, they lend a lot of money for those who are very poor person. When you actually borrow the money from the bank, you have to prove that you have the ability to pay back the money to the bank, right? Otherwise, the bank do not lend the money to you. But the Lehman Brothers case simply say they just lend the money for poor people, saying I'm helping poor people to help them buy the house, which was quite good idea. However, because of the property price down, moneylender collapsed, failed to pay back, and Lehman Brothers failed, collapsed, bankrupt, and somebody who borrowed the money, lent the money to Lehman Brothers, also bankrupt. Some other country who lent the money to that institution also bankrupt, and so a lot of negative chain reaction happened across the world. So all of the economy in the world just bankrupt. So that is also example of business scandal. So the point is that wrong decision making of the top, right? What you call a scandal, damage all of us, the whole society. So the point is that if you become a very kind of a CEO someday in the future, you should not only look at your people, employee, but also customers, of course, but also what? What you call a stakeholders, right? Your supplier may be out there, somebody who provide the material to your company's operation. So you have to care not only the profit of your, say, owner, what you call shareholder, but also you have to care about your employee, your, of course, customers, and even the society around your companies. Which means that your any decision not only consider your own profit, but also everything around the whole company, right? Again, before year 2000, before the what we see Enron crisis, there was not really the issue. However, after Enron crisis, we see a lot of crisis and then the scandals, and we just find that a lot of managers are greedy and doing wrong things, which damage all of us here. So that's why we have to change. We have to set up a new morality of the manager and so on. So which means that a good manager, if you try to maintain your business, like 10 years ago, for instance, like make a lot of money, that's quite enough. Maintaining large market share, that's quite enough. However, this day, you have to satisfy all of us, all of the people surrounding the companies. Otherwise, your company cannot be really sustainable. So if you see the newspaper this day, for instance, you may see like terminology like 지속 가능 경영. In English, like sustainable management. What does this mean? Right. Sustainable management. How to build a sustainable management means that how can you simply say satisfy all of the people, what you call stakeholders. Right. So point is the top manager should keep an eye on the interest of all the people, not only your shareholder and customers. So to do that, we have to clearly understand what is actually surrounding our firms, what kind of environment your company is located. Right? So point is, the job of the CEO is stay, and manager much more complicated, right? So, and a lot of business issue like climate, environment, right? Like gas emission case, the company, especially a global firm, should care their like global environment, right? Clean policy, for instance, you should produce the same amount of product service by using less energy or by producing less gas emission, contaminated materials and so on. Right? Is it really possible? Right? How can you produce more by using less, say, oil? Right? Simply means like you only eat once every day, but you should become stronger and stronger. Is it possible or not? Not possible. However, that is like that is what the manager this day are required to do. Right? And broad societal concern. Customers not only concerned about your product service, but a lot of interest group looking at what you are doing, right? Whether you are doing the right thing and wrong thing. So a lot of like monitoring and so on going on. So whether you like or not, business and society are too much related. They are affecting each other so closely. Not used to be that way in the past, but certainly this day they are. So, like, what is business and what is society? So, I know that you have already studied like business. I mean the sociology in your high school, so you understand what society means, right? So society is like a collection of people, group that, as you see here, share some interest, value, norms, and so on. Right? While the business is also a collection of people, group, but they are much more sharing specific, tangible interests, right? Right? Business case, collection of people, but they certainly has a same goal, which is profit. So business is like society, and society is like business. When we can say that business is part of, member of the society. When you say throughout the book here, when you study, we are talking about business, we are talking about company, but mostly we refer it to like global firm, because the global firm actually impacting more to our society compared to small firm, right? Like what you call, we say, M&E, multinational enterprises, big companies like LG, Samsung, and so on, right? That's what I call M&E, it's multinational corporate enterprise or global firm. So when you say business or company, we mostly call them, we mostly referring it to like multinational enterprises, like big global firms. Like some big firms impacting more than others, like manufacturing companies, like POSCO, for instance, like also the vehicle makers like GM, Hyundai, Toyota, for instance. This company, like Coca-Cola, this vehicle companies impacting more to us, to our society, than any other companies. I mean, any other companies. Uh, I mean, as we discussed like before, business and society are related. But when we say society, it's too broad. The meaning of society is too broad. So that's why we need sometimes to classify, when we say society, what specific aspect of society. So specifying it, classifying it into more narrower concept would be easier for us to understand the relationship. When business and societies are related, we can say that more specifically, business and societies are related socially, economically, politically, and technologically. Right? So every way, those two are related. So the point is, because of this, I told you like top management here. Again, if you look at like the history of management, for instance, up until like year 1990s, when I was undergraduate students, what I have learned was pretty much about like operation, right? Efficiency, effectiveness, right? How can you produce more without any defection? So there was a topic like how companies that operation is related to this society. What I call a macro environment was not really the concern. However, this day, when you are going to actually discuss like effectiveness, what is the efficiency of a firm? Efficiency and effectiveness, I think, are two most important things of the companies, right? When you try to do something, produce something, you should always use a minimum resource all the time. That's what I call efficiency. And also in business, when you try to do something, you have to do it anyway. Let's say if you are, that is your target, for instance, and that is your target, and you are planning to do that target, say, by the end of this year. You have to do it once you said so in business field. If you fail to do that, then we can say that your business is not really effective. But effectiveness means that whether or not your firm achieve your plan and goal, right? So when planning something for your firm's efficiency and effectiveness, what you need to look at is your internal part of the organization. You have to look at how to optimize your operation, people, managing them, motivating them, and so on. However, this day, you have to look at all these things. Macro environment of your companies. Simply ignoring them cannot help you to achieve the efficiency and effectiveness. Just look at social environment. How social environment is actually impacting your company's operation. Just tell me some example. So you as a manager here, look at social environment of your industry, of your firm. Otherwise, you just cannot achieving the effectiveness and efficiency. You have to understand, as a CEO, what is going on in the society. So what are the current issue this day? If you see the newspaper, what really attract your attention this day? What? AlphaGo. Can you see the news? The AlphaGo and the Isidore now playing. Right? Who is winning? Please check. I'm really crazy about that one. Right? What? Yeah, he won last game. What? Isidore is winning, but who knows? So, AI, right? What is that? What AI represent? Artificial intelligence, right? So your company, you as a CEO, should look at, so the artificial intelligence probably part of the technological environment. When you say social environment means that you have to look at social environment of your firms. Mostly social environment means that like demographic change. Right? Demographic change. Like last Sunday, my wife and I went to the market and purchased some rice cooker, small one. She said LG is the best. I don't know, but the trend of that rice cooker thing is that because of the like demographic change, the size of the family getting smaller and smaller. So people don't need to buy big cooker, right? Big refrigerator, big things, right? Small things is quite enough, right? So like LG, for instance, already read that trend 10 years ago. A lot of other electronic companies predict that in the future, the consumer of the home appliances will prefer high technology things, bigger things, and so on. But LG was actually choose the opposite, predicting opposite way. So the LG say in the future, the size of the family getting smaller, so they want smaller, simple, not high tech, but user-friendly things and so on. So that's why the LG nowadays having a lot of market share, customers. So which means that you have to read like demographic change all the time, right? Size of the family, part of the elements of the demographic change. What else? What else? If you do not read that kind of a social shift, you just cannot plan anything, right? So reading, predicting social shift means that you just try to estimate, understand, or read the mind of customers in the near future. So you have to prepare now for the future, right? So home appliances market, I think the LG Electronics quite did weird things. They already predict what's going on nowadays, like 10 years ago. So, like mobile phone, for instance, of course. And I just wrote the article in 동아일보 last week. It is about Nokia case. I'm pretty sure when I was a master's student, like having Nokia was like you are driving Porsche. Seriously. Nokia mobile phone represent high-tech style something, right? So Nokia, right? So it means something. So nobody, like market share of Nokia at the time, somewhere in year 2000, about 40%. Nobody thought at the time that Nokia will collapse. But suddenly, the preferences of the consumer for that high-tech device change, right? And this say people use smartphone rather than the 2G or 3G phones. And Nokia was too satisfied for what they are doing at the time, too much complacent. So that success at the time actually destroyed the company. So the point is that you have to keep looking, reading the social trend. What about the economic environment? You know what it means, right? Like interest rate, exchange rate, employment rate, a lot of a rate, right? You have to look at. You have to keep following the pattern of that rate to reflect your in your strategy making. Like year 2004, I think, what happened at that time was that Daewoo Motor export a lot of car to Europe, to USA. So export a lot means that the company earn a lot of money, right? But because of the currency fluctuation, and because of a strong Korean won, suddenly the Daewoo Motor lost a lot of money. You know what I'm saying, right? So even if you sell a lot, export a lot to foreign customers, things maybe happen like this. You may lose your money, right? Because of the wrong prediction of the exchange rate. So if you are not correctly predict the exchange rate, predicting the correct exchange rate may change your strategic direction. If you predict the exchange rate correctly, then certainly they will at the time probably enter directly to the USA market instead of exporting the car. So concerning looking at the economic change, especially this day, a lot of uncertainty in financial market, like currency exchange rate, oil price, for instance, employment rate, for instance. You have to keep looking at the patterns and how the pattern will be. And after the break, we are looking at the political and technological, especially political and technological things. A lot of global firms case actually, because of these two factors, we can truly say that the company confronted a lot of, say, obstacles for what they are doing, right? Even if you have a very brilliant ideas, the political environment actually stop you to make more money sometimes or in expanding your market share. So which means that you have to be very good at reading the political movements surround your industry and company. So after the break, we are going to talk about this too. So the point is that you should not ignore the macro environment, right? So that's the point. So what are you going to do to understand macro environment? Read a lot of newspaper, right? Like the political environment. Like previously, the government especially didn't actually make a specific rule regulation imposed upon the companies, right? They just let the company do on their own will for some business activity. However, it is not anymore. A lot of restriction, the rules, procedure the company should follow, especially in the issue of pollution things. Discrimination issue, like as you see here, Enron case, fair statement of your company's statement to the shareholders, right? Don't lie anything about your company's performance to the public. So if you violate any regulation by the government rules, simply your business will be closed, very strict. Like regarding, say, government restriction, regulation upon the company's wrong behavior things, Korea used to be quite generous, however, not anymore, right? So, like if you see, see the newspaper, for instance, a lot of top management in Korean company went to jail, right, because of the bribery things or a wrong statement of their financial performance, or sometimes collusion between competitors, like setting price between you and your competitors at certain level. So we just provide service and product at a specific price by colluding each other among companies, so that the customers have no choice for purchasing something, right? The price should be determined by supply and demand, certainly. However, if the company set up this price, right, regardless of what customers want, that's not fair, right? So a lot of strict law in commercial sector actually this day imposed by many governments. So you have to, I mean, those like government regulations keep changing and changing for the benefit of especially stakeholders. So the CEO, like top management, keep an eye on how the regulation, like it issues almost like every year. So you have to look at how that new regulation actually impacting your company's plan of the strategy and so on. You have to keep following that one, right? And lastly, like technological involvement as well. Like we now see it is war for innovation, right? So a lot of innovation this day, one of the very popular terminology in business field. So innovation simply means what? What is innovation? Innovation is like invention, right? You just create and introduce a new thing to the market. So that is innovation. But also the more important innovation is that you just change the process of making something by simply changing the process in better way. You can save your cost. Then you or firm can have like price competitiveness over the competitors. So if you are behind that kind of, say, process innovation, for instance, you are simply behind. So you should not behind that trend of innovation. Right? What kind of a new technology keep introducing in the market, and you have to think about how you adopt that new technology for your operation, process management and so on. So you have to look at that part. So the point is that you should not skip any part of that macro involvement all the times. Right? So see here a lot of dimensions of the society, right? And we only look at like 4 dimensions here, but actually in real life, in our life, a lot more dimension of society other than just this mentioned 4. So, which means that the society getting more multi-dimensional, more complicated, and a lot of groups in society. What we call a pluralism. So if you just look at the society around us, a lot of we see group there. Consumer society, of course, one of the example. Consumer society, consumer group society, I mean, what do you call? Next slide, you can see here. What is this one, right? As you see here, pluralistic society. So society of our life, getting more complicated and a lot more dimension. Right? So you have to think about, is it really good for your, just think about like yourself as a manager, especially top managers. And society is a multi-dimensional. Is it good to your business or not? You have to think about. As you see here, society going toward the pluralism does have some of the advantage, but also has some weakness. So these are the advantage of pluralism society, and these are the weakness of the pluralism society. But you as a manager of the firm, I think you have to watch more carefully on the weakness side, of course. Because of the pluralism society, it may affect your companies rather a negative way. So your management of your company getting more difficult because of this reason. A lot of self-interest group in the society trying to pursue their own interest. Because of pursuit of their own interest, your management of the firm getting more difficult, right? So just try to understand what are the strength and weakness of the pluralism society to the business. Probably this may be like open-end question to yourself, but think about as a manager how those weakness and strength may affect your firm's operation. The point is that what I call a stakeholders. So we now have to differentiate shareholders. So shareholder versus stakeholders. What is shareholders? What is shareholders? Shareholder means owners of a firm. So if you simply buy a stock of a company throughout the stock market or go to the security bank, you can simply buy company stock. Then you become shareholders, which means that you are the owner of the firms. While the stakeholder means what? Even though you are not owning any share of the firm, even though you don't have any ownership of a firm, still your interest, stake means interest. Your interest is related to the firm's operation and management, right? Like if, say, for instance, company contaminate the air condition, for instance, a poor, bad air condition certainly damage your health, right? So which means that your health is related to the firm's operation, right? So even if you never put your penny on the firm's share, you are anyway involved with the firm or related to the firm's operation. So pluralism society means that more and more, as a society getting more complicated and multi-dimension, the firm has more stakeholders, interest group, and the more you have a stakeholders, the power of stakeholders bigger and larger, right? So which again means that as a society getting more pluralism society, the power of the stakeholders are getting bigger. So which means that you have to care as a manager, not only the shareholder, but the stakeholders. So that is actually the point here. So this visualize how your business is actually related to a lot of stakeholders. Government probably has some interest to your company's operation. Of course, employee as well. Even though you as an employee of, say, LG or Samsung, and even if you don't have any share of those firms, your activity, your life anyway related to your hiring companies. Customer as well. Owners. Owners is what I call shareholders. And the community as well. So when you say stakeholder, it represents largely these 5 groups. And the letter here is what I call a subgroup of each stakeholders. So, which means that you as a CEO at the center of the business here have to care previously these people, this group, but this day you as a CEO here care all of this one. That's what I call a stakeholder management, not shareholder management, right? So what it means, if you become the CEO someday, your life expectancy become shorter, right? You will die young because you have to concern everything, everybody. All of us here say something about do this, do that, you have to satisfy them. So that's why you only live very short, right? So if you want to be if you want to live long, what you should be? Professor, right? I don't need to care. These guys, right? I only need to care you here. So the point here, so that's why like previously, these people, what they call a CEO. What is CEO? 사장, right? So previously, that CEO here certainly able to cover this part, but this day, the CEO alone cannot cover all of this group's interest. If they do, they will live short, right? They will die young. So that's why the job of the CEO nowadays much more classified. A lot more title of CEO. Under the CEO or equal to CEO, we have like CFO. What is CFO? Right. So they are only dealing with inflow, outflow of the cash for the benefit of all these guys, right? Determining how they spend the money. Right? Mostly a big decision is made by this one, but not alone. A lot of a mini CEO actually helping big CEO. CFO is one of them. And especially this day, one of the emerging job is CPO. What is CPO? Chief Privacy Officer, who is only dealing with managing privacy issue of all the people here. Certainly, you guys know, like the credit card companies certainly reveal all of the customers' information by mistake, so your privacy actually now open up, which is bad, right? So CFO just try to handle like privacy issue of our customers, and like COO. Chief Operating Officer. So operating officer is certainly looking at operation of the inside the organization based on collecting the data of what is going on outside. So that's what the COO mostly does. And CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, actually understand who are actually their customers, and also plus who are the most urgent stakeholder group that the company care the most. Right? By targeting specific stakeholder group, the company provides something. Right? So understanding the nature of this guy outside the circle is actually the job of the CMO. So the CEO is much more narrowed down into many specific types of kind of a mini CEO. So they are working all together as one to determine whatever job of the firm do here at the center here. So what does this mean? A lot of job to be a CEO, right? So if you try to be a business major, I'm going to be a CEO. A stupid idea, right? I'm going to be a CPO. That's better statement. Or COO, CMO, whatever. More specific your lifetime goal. So before we close our today's lecture, we have to look at especially special interest group this day. community here, this one, not really directly related to your business. They are not really the consumer group of your firm's product, but they are impacting your business in many huge ways. So you have to handle them, manage them very well. Environmental group, Volkswagen case, scandal case. I never driven the Volkswagen, but I raised my voice, not boycotting the Volkswagen car. I don't know how it works actually, the car. I know that the car is quite good, but I can say outside there and try not to buy that car. That's a pollution emission cars and so on. So there's like a lot of environmental group speak loud to prevent your business if you are doing something wrong. Right? If you are doing good, they are doing nothing. But if you are, once you're doing something wrong, they won't stand still. So a lot of this one, a community, like as you see here, special interest group, you have to especially carefully concerning very much because their power is getting larger and larger. So the point before we close, we now know that a lot of dimension, many groups, interest group within the society, which means that the expectation from society upon your behavior is enlarged, getting bigger and bigger. But what you do is not really covering what they want. So the gap between what they want and what you are actually doing is wider and wider. That's what I call a social problem. So when you call social problem means, according to the management perspective here, is that the social expectation is getting bigger and bigger. They expect more and more from you as a company, but you cannot only provide something in a very limited way. So the gap is wider. So that is what the social problem. So the CEO, again, of course, profit maximization is important. However, if the CEO and all these guys cannot narrow that gap, then simply making profit is not enough. Right? You can maintain your business short term, but in the long term, nobody knows. Right? So yeah, we are going to talk about that one in the next class. So again, I think this is quite suitable class for freshman year students. So before you're taking a specific business course, I think you have to understand the status of global firm this day, where they are, that they should heading for, so what kind of a challenge they are now having, so what kind of a reaction or response the company should prepare. So you have to understand that mechanism first, and then you have to learn how to drive a company and so on. Right? So let's talk about that one on Friday. I skipped checking your attendance today because I'm pretty sure that all of you guys here. But I will check the attendance this Friday.